So you keep on fighting the truth, and as you fight the truth, you keep on denying God. And as you deny God, He is not as evil as you think He is. He's not as evil as you. So He will not punish you. You actually punish yourself by wandering into the world of addictions and all that. And by the time you get the awakening of coming back, you have to die from that alcoholism for you to awaken into life. That's the blessing about it. Once you understand these basics, it becomes easier for you. And look at it this way. Why are you even struggling to fight things that you have no control over? He became resistant to information on that live, and now he decided, let me just go and check this guy out live, face to face. Okay, so he came in, and yeah, we had a good conversation. And the reason why he inspired me is because this gentleman, for the last 3 months, he has been having sex consistently on a daily basis until I believe he said 8 days ago. So 8 days ago, this gentleman, his manhood just went missing. He was trying as much as possible to get an erection, nada. And remember that this is a gentleman who has had sex for 3 months consecutive, every single day. Now, this gentleman, for these 8 days, Zamunda is in the building. I see you, Zamunda. So this gentleman, for these 8 days, he had different women. I don't know if the 3 months he had different women, but at least he told me for these 8 days, he has had different women for a reason. And the reason why he has had these 8 women, different women, is because his manhood failed to rise to the occasion. So Brother Bernard said, no way, I'm not going to do this. I am tired. And then the gentleman thought, possibly it's not my fault. It's maybe the fault of these women. Imagine I've been having good sex for the last 3 months. Straight, every night I'm busy. And now, 8 days down the line, I can't have my good sex. So I asked this gentleman, why do you find the need to have this sex all the time? He told me, I am a sex addict. Outright, he said, I am a sex addict. I was like, okay, amazing. So he told me, okay, don't judge me. I told him, no, we are not here to judge. I'm somebody who has an identity. I cannot judge you. And actually, you came here because you needed some help. So we don't see the need to judge you. So he said, okay, doctor, I'll open up. So one, I have been masturbating. Not only have I just been having sex, I have been actively masturbating. And this meant that for him, if he did not have satisfactory sex with these women in bed, he would still go ahead and masturbate. Sometimes he would masturbate just beside that woman because now he has to feel the warmth of the woman and now get the masturbation. So I asked him, do these women know you masturbate after? He said, no, I sometimes do it silently, but I suspect some of them know. It was not my business. So I asked him, tell me something about you. How was your family and all that? And then he told me, of course, he was raised by a single mom and all that. And he told me he's not as educated as such, and he doesn't know He doesn't know how he ended up getting into the addiction of sex, but he knows he's an addict. Now, underline that. I am an addict. Take yourself back to the life that we did about identities. You see, this gentleman is identifying already with something else. So within him, he has no identity. So he's actually trying to identify with masturbation and with sex addiction. And that is wrong. You are not supposed to identify with anything except God. That's where you should start this conversation from. So this gentleman inspired me because after we had a good conversation, he came in with the need to get drugs to give him an erection because he had another busy night. And I told him, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm actually going to put you out of sex for about 2 months or so. And I'm going to pull you out of, he's the guy who chews mirror. So I told him, I'm going to pull you out of the mirror and the sodas. It's not going to be easy, but we have to do this. So he agreed to it, and I hope he can actually follow that. But the reason why he inspired me is because of the addiction part. If you're not on my Telegram channel, you're missing out on a lot of things. I put up a post. On that post, let me just read that post to you so that you can know what you're missing. I'm going to read a small part of it so that you can actually go to Telegram and check it out and start learning and unlearning new things. Use the search button if you're new to search a lot of things. So I said this: addictions to sex, alcohol, and drugs. Most people struggle with these addictions, the sex, alcohol, and drugs. They know they don't want to do these things, but they can't get out of it. The more they try, the harder they fail. Superficially, these addictions are triggered by dopamine excitation in the brain. And we will tell you to fix your dopamine receptors through eating healthy or clean and fasting. Of course, that's what we know superficially, that if your dopamine levels are misbehaving, you need to eat clean and then you start fasting to actually stabilize your system, which is true. But we'll get to see what actually went on, what goes on, so that these people can actually go back to what they've been doing, even though they're trying to fight it. And then I said, however, most people still fail and end up worse than they were. This is because everything is spiritual. Everything you do in this world is spiritual. It rolls down to the right and wrong, and the good and the evil. All of us have an intellect that is unnatural. It is loaded, or it was loaded into your head by someone, and 70 to 80% has to be your parents. The rest is what you pick up along the way as you grow up. When you go to school, when you're interacting with different people, religion and all this, you pick up different identities from different people. And now you start having multiple identities. Okay? So now you already have multiple identities and you have no idea of who you are. The better part of your life was spent by your parents conditioning you, and now you have to spend the rest of your life actually trying to uncondition yourself and overcome this. Good. So now, in life, as I just said, everything is spiritual. And you'll get to realize, as I'm speaking about spiritual stuff, addictions are going to come in. That's the reason why I'm putting you through this. I'm going to repeat all that I've always said, because we will not get better until we get better. So I'll keep on repeating these things until they sink into your head. In life, everything is spiritual. And I want you to look at it this way. Imagine 18 years of your life, of your childhood life and your most aggressive life, possibly 18 plus. So let's say 18 to 25 years of your early life was spent with your parents. And all they were doing is to condition you and to remodel you and rebuild you into their own image. To them, they knew that this was the best life. Okay? And they knew that they wanted the best life for you. Unfortunately, they wanted the best life for you according to them, not according to God. Because most of our parents don't even know God. They know about Him, as we say, but they don't know God. So they wanted you to become one, they wanted to succeed through you. Possibly your father is a doctor, and maybe a lot has happened and he's not that successful as a doctor. And now he wants you to be the best doctor. So he wants to succeed through you as a child. That's how he starts messing you up, because he starts to tell you, this is what you should do, you're better than them, you're this, you're that, you need to be this, you need to behave this way. And all that is just him imposing his identity on you. Your mother, on the other hand, puts you all this and imposes all these emotions in you, and she ends up putting her identity in you. And that's why most men are very feminine. They are very angry, they are very emotional. And if you try to tell them anything that is actually challenging their mother, they become very chaotic. They become very violent. And to them, they are thinking that this is not me. This is just about you. It's you who is offending me. It's about my wife. It's about my girlfriend. It's about the people. It's not about me. I am okay. Because that's what you've been told. You've been conditioned to think that you're okay. And of course, you'll know everything around you is okay and all is well apart from you. Because in your illusions, you're thinking you're the one who is okay. Everything is wrong. But the reality is everything around you is okay, but you. That's where the identity starts from. So imagine you spend 18 plus years to just be conditioned by your parents and your schools and religion and all that. And now, after that, when you try to find your independence, I'm putting that in quotes for a reason. When you try to find that independence, what happens is you're trying to move out from the parents, so you're actually trying to run away from them to just get your life. But you realize that you'll have to spend a lot of, or the largest part of your life, trying to overcome that conditioning, trying to unlearn. Look at it this way. In primary school, you are told beans are proteins. And up to now, you cannot challenge that. Up to now, you cannot challenge that. You are taught to write your name starting with a capital letter. And up to now, you cannot undo that. But other people's names, you will start with a small letter. But yours. So sometimes you can write somebody's name in a small letter, but yours, you have to start with a capital letter. So there's some form of condition that happens. There's some form of conditioning that happens in children or in these young adults as they grow up. It sticks to them or with them for a lifetime. And that's why most of you don't even believe beans are carbohydrates. Even when you read, you will not believe. You still say, Malim, we were taught. So you rely on what you were taught. So that is intellect. The one that I just read and I told you, it is unnatural. So most of the intellect is unnatural. What we were born with is common sense. All of us are born with common sense. But intellect has a way of knocking out that common sense, and now you become a zombie. You can easily be controlled by those that you call the peer reviewers, but those that you call the scientists, by those that you believe they have a supernatural power over you. Okay? And that's how we start being conditioned. That's how we start being controlled by the so-called superpowers. So when you call them superpowers, it becomes easier for them to actually control you because you're the lesser power. But all of us are born with an identity, and we are born with common sense to actually figure life out on our own. So for 18 years, you've been conditioned. Now you have to take a whole life to actually uncondition yourself, to actually unlearn things, and then overcome. Because you have to overcome. Again, remember, God says in life, you have to die from that life for you to resurrect in life. For you to live, you must die from evil so that you can actually live life. So now you have to you have to die of those conditionings so that you get your own identity and start knowing what is right and what is wrong. Because before that, you cannot know what is right and what is wrong. Because again, spirituality rolls down to what is good and what is evil, what is right and what is wrong. However, how will you know what is good and what is evil if you don't know God? How? And I will tell you how to know God, and I will tell you how to love God with all your might. Now listen to this. What are some of these conditioning things that we actually try to overcome when we grow up? Number one, of course, the stuff that your father and your mother taught you. Literally, most of the things that you were taught, and most of the ego that was put into you, that you are better than others, that you're this good, that you need to be this type of person, that is them trying to build an ego in you. So they're actually trying to build a home for Satan inside you. All of us have perfect peace. We were born with perfect peace and a clean heart. But our parents are the ones who start teaching us hate, who start teaching us tribalism, racism, and all these things, and religion and all that. And when they put it in you and it sinks into you, you start believing that your religion is better than the rest, and that your father is better than the other fathers, that you are the best out of the best, even though you know you have flaws. So you believe you're the best out of the best. Nothing wrong with believing that. However, that is a false identity. Because the true identity, which is basically perfect peace, does not know who is who. All of us are equal. And that's the beauty about it. So you'll not struggle hurting other people. You'll not struggle pushing your identity on other people. You'll not oppress other people because these are actually images of God. Okay? And do not confuse. This is not a preaching class. This is a reality check class. So we've said those things that you've been taught, the pressure that was imparted on you to be better, to be this, to be a doctor, to be a judge, to be who you are. And every time you had this pressure that if you actually live lesser than what they expect from you, their expectations, your parents' expectations, and the society. So if you live lesser life than what they expect from you, it becomes chaotic. You failed. You are so weak. You are a very bad person. And then you believe, you adapt the identity, and you become. Okay? And this is exactly reflected on alcoholism, on drug abuse, on sex addiction, and masturbation and pornography. And you will see. So now that is pressure. Number three, the false identity that your mother puts in you, the emotions, the anger, the need to feel right. So when your mother does that to you, you start adapting that identity and now you become very void. Inside you, you need to have the identity of the father. When I'm talking about the father, yes, the biological father will play a bigger role here. Why? Because the biological father is actually the earthly representation of God to the child. Now, men on this platform, they know very well that as you grow older and as you raise these daughters and sons, you would actually want them to love you and respect you as the father. And then you will be glad to see people saying, oh, this is Dr. Lewis's daughter. This is Dr. Jones' son. This is Mwalimu's son. Okay? And when they say that, they're actually referring to the father, which means from within you, you have the nature of your father. So you're actually showing light and people start to see that. They see you're different. They will not say, oh, huyu anavuta bangi kama babake. This one is a drunkard like the father. No. They will actually say, oh, whatever he's portraying is a different thing. This is Dr. Lewis's son. They will see the difference by just that, by just having the identity of your father. And for those hardcore Christians who keep on telling people that Christ is God and all that, allow me to tell you this for free. I am not a religion specialist, but I'll tell you this for free. Christ was the Son of God. He was not God. And he is not God. He is the Son of God. Why? Because just because I portray the characters or I'm showing out the nature of my father, that does not mean I am my father. All of us are actually born with that light. We are born with the Father inside us, the perfect peace. And actually, for Christians, Christ, or that Jesus Christ, for that matter, that was our brother. So just the same way an elder brother watches over the younger sister or the younger brother and tells them, hey, don't do this, you get hurt. Please do this, come back home early. That is exactly what Christ came to do, to create a way back home for us to go back home. But most of us think that Christ is God. He's not. So all of us have that perfect peace and we have the nature of God because we are spiritual beings. So yes, Christ is our our brother. Now listen, before I even go into that, so we've said they imposed their ego on you, they imposed their will on you, they gave you a fake identity, okay? They ended up teaching you religious practices that they did not even understand better. So they ended up imposing religious practices that did not make sense to you because they did not understand God. They were not taught by their parents. So the fault is not theirs, it's a generational curse. Now, they also gave you the ability to think that you're better than others. So now you have to unlearn these things. You have to actually overcome these things. And as you overcome, by the way, the more I learn things about life, the better I become. The more I learn about how identity comes through, the more I learn about, the more things reveal themselves to me. I feel good and I become a better person every single day. And that's the beauty. And that's my prayer, that all of you can actually reach to a level of spirituality that you will easily differentiate between good and evil. But I want you to know, anytime God reveals something to you, Satan has a counter way of revealing other things to you through your thoughts. And I will not even call them your thoughts because they are not your thoughts. Thoughts are evil at all the times because they are actually what people put in your head. And then when you start to believe your thoughts, that's how Satan starts to build a home in you. And now he uses you, who has no identity, to actually mock God. He will make you feel loved so that he can get you upset. And then he'll tell you, you are so weak. Imagine you are not loved because you are a 1 minute man. And you feel so weak about it. And now the guilt comes in. Most people who drink alcohol or who are chronic alcoholics, most people who are addicted to pot or weed, most people who are addicted to drugs, sex, masturbation, they will tell you before they masturbate or before they smoke, they really don't want to do these things. But within them, that push is so big that it makes them do it. And then look at how Satan tells you, oh, don't worry, it's Friday. Leave for the weekend. I mean, you deserve better. Your friends are doing it. Why don't you do it? I mean, you know, doctors are using marijuana in patients who have cancer. It's a painkiller. Why don't you do it? Smoke it. You will feel good. Drink alcohol to feel better. Don't worry. It's cheap, right? Just drink alcohol to feel better. You're not a bad person. They just have to accept you the way you are. Just drink. I mean, if you drink, you'll have a high sex drive, right? Just go and do it. And then you fall for that idea because you're always into your thoughts. And then when you get to drink, you get a hangover. And you end up having a lot of sex, which is useless, a lot of problems come in. When you smoke that weed, after smoking that weed, you feel that high is a fake high. When that goes down, the same Satan starts to tell you, you are so weak, you are a very bad person. Imagine you just sinned. You smoke weed, you can't even resist this, and you start feeling bad about it. Now, smoking weed, watching porn, masturbation, they are not sins. What is sin about them is the fact that you will end up judging yourself and feeling guilty about it. That is the sin. So Satan introduces you to new concepts of things that will actually counter what God wants for you. And you know, all of us exist with a purpose, and the purpose is that we will love God and serve God with all might and nothing alongside it. And that's why he tells you, seek the truth and the rest shall be added. Now look at it this way. All of us are so empty, we are so evil, but we cannot accept it. Inside us, because we've been turned away from God. And God, who is God? God is our biological fathers. We've been turned away from him through anger, through emotions, through false identities that come from the mothers, through that issue that the mother has with the father. Now we are turned against the father, and when you're turned against the father, that is actually us denying the truth. And anytime you deny the truth, you deny God. Now your boat sinks even deeper. Your addictions sink even deeper because every time you're in constant fight with the Father. So you have a void inside you. Now, that void that you've created inside you because of the absence of the Father or you turning against the Father is the reason why you're suffering what you're suffering from. And understand this, that we have God and we have the children of God. Christ being part of them, all of you being children of God. So all of you are images of God, not because you are God, no, because you have the nature of God inside you. And that's why you're sons of God. Okay? Now listen, every time you try to portray the nature of God, you become of God. Every time you try to build a home in you for Satan and then you portray the nature of Satan, you move away from God. This is evident with most people right now. People love their careers. People love the Bible. People love the Quran. But you see, you're seeking love in a book. You're seeking love in your career. You're seeking love from people. You love your parents to death. You love your mother to death. You love your children. That actually takes you away from the love of God, because God says, love me and the rest will be added unto you. The love that you're going to put into your children. How can you even love your children without having to love God? Because God is the one that provides the love so that it can be shared to you among your children. So how do you love your children? Because when you love the children, you turn away from the love of God. And now, whatever you love becomes your God. So if you love smoking weed, you love drinking alcohol, you are so addicted and you love sex, that becomes your God, and that is actually what is used to control you. So sex controls you, and that's why somebody can get so addicted to sex, they will still masturbate and not get enough, and they will still end up raping children. A person who you don't even have sexual attraction to, but you just want to ejaculate. And sometimes you rape that child and you don't even ejaculate, so it was useless. You're so addicted to alcohol because of the love of alcohol that has pushed you away from the love of the Father. And when you're away from the love of the Father, whatever you are loving now is what is controlling you. I will take you back to the story of Adam and Eve, okay? Adam used to listen to the Father all through, and everything was working for him. He was so bright, he would name these animals and all that, and he felt so comfortable. And then came this woman, and this is not to disrespect women, this is to show you the exact picture of how life is. Came a woman in Adam's life, and for the first time, Adam changed, because now he stopped listening to God and went to listen to this new person. So this new person, who was Eve, became his God. When he became his God, he stopped listening to God and he fell away from the love of God or from the grace of God. So by virtue of him listening to the woman or listening to another force and obliging to that force, that turned him away from the Father and from the love of God. So he became a little void in him. And that's why when he was caught, he felt so empty and so naked. And then he was asked, who told you are naked? And look at it this way, how difficult it is. The only thing that Adam would have done to be better is to say, hey, I have messed up and I'm sorry. I apologize. But look at how God works. God lets you go and do what you have to do. Suffer, and then you die from that suffering by forgiving, and then you come back to him and he takes you back. He takes that load off you. And that's why the next time you're smoking that weed or that bang, the next time you're drinking that bottle of alcohol, the only thing you need to do is not to resist it. Is not to form an opinion about it, that this is not right according to Christianity. This is not right according to Islam. Do not. Simply be aware. If you're fighting addictions of anything, do not masturbate as you're thinking, oh, I am so guilty. After the masturbation, you're actually forming an opinion, masturbation is bad, I feel bad about it, tomorrow I'm not doing it. You're actually resisting the truth inside you. As you resist the truth, you're actually resisting God, and you suffer. Your ship will keep on sinking. So those addictions that you're sinking in are not because you're not a special person. They are because you have not accepted the truth that you are actually an alcohol addict, a sex addict, and you are addicted to drugs. You have not. You felt guilty because Satan made you feel guilty about it, but you have not accepted it. So you keep on fighting the truth, and as you fight the truth, you keep on denying God. And as you deny God, he is not as evil as you think he is. He's not as evil as you. So he will not punish you. You actually punish yourself by wandering into the world of addictions and all that. And by the time you get the awakening of coming back, you have to die from that alcoholism for you to awaken into life. That's the blessing about it. Once you understand these basics, it becomes easier for you. And look at it this way. Why are you even struggling to fight things that you have no control over?